All right, looks like we are live. Can we, in the chat before we get started, can we get a mic check and a music check, please? Just let me know in the comments real quick if you can hear the music and you can hear my voice clearly, just so we can get started. Got a lot to talk about today, a lot to cover. I just want to make sure you guys can hear me, and then we can jump off. Don't forget to like the stream, guys. You can hear? Can you hear the music? If you can hear the music, cool. If not, then I got to switch to an alternative source, but I'm just going to go like I am until somebody says otherwise. Just to make sure there's no feedback or anything like that. Might need to get some light in here just so we can see a bit. You can hear the music too? Okay, awesome. Let's do this. Awesome. All right, cool. So we are going to start the stream. This is, of course, my birthday stream. So feel free to leave a happy birthday message. I am reading the chat, so we will check on that. But the main thing that I wanted to talk about today was Sparking Zero stuff. Of course, I'll cover anything else that you guys actually want to cover, but the bread and butter of what I want to actually cover today is Sparking Zero. Hey, what is up, Solar Flare? Just wanted to make sure. What is up, Jana Dios? How are you doing? I think I want to hit this other light just so we can get some that blue light flooded out just so we can see a little bit better. Just give me a second. Yeah, that's much better. All right, cool. All right, we got a question. We're going to start off before we start talking. I'm going to say hi to everyone in the chat. What's up, Cyber Rock? What's up, Solar Flare 95? Gino Dios. And we are seeing who will be the main character for Sparking Zero. Well, it's a Dragon Ball game, so Goku, clearly. On Monday, the end of the Xbox 360 marketplace. Yeah, I mean, most of my 360 collection is physical anyway, so I don't really have to worry about that. But this would be your last chance for any DLC or anything like that before it goes off, unless you already bought it. Let's see. What's up, Dreger? Yeah, Soul Calibur 5 stuff was delisted. Just like when Soul Calibur 4 stuff got delisted, you can no longer buy the DLC. And also the Soul Calibur 2 or the Soul Calibur 1 port for Xbox, that's also been delisted this year. So you can't really play that either. Yeah, but Genadius, unfortunately, the backwards catalog that the Xbox Series is capable of is not great. It doesn't cover the full gambit, and they're shifting away to other things anyway. I did want to talk about like a few things that were concerning that people were asking me about in Sparking Zero. So any Sparking Zero questions you have to start off with would be great for the beginning of the video, just so we can get people accustomed to what's going to be talking about here. And then we can get into some other stuff in a little bit, some Soul Calibur stuff if you guys want, some other things. Yeah, it's been almost a year, Dreger. This is another reason why if you want DLC when it comes out, grab it. And if you have physical copies, they always work, but digital copies do not. So I've seen people pull digital stuff in the store. I have plenty of digital games, but just like stuff that like I see on sale. Did I see the gameplay for trailer for a Rebirth of Souls? Yes, we can talk about that starting. That'd be great. So it looks a little weird. I'm not gonna lie. It looks like it's counter based. So what that means is like when you start off with your health bar, there's numbers that are at the top of your health bar. Your health bar seems to be secondary in Bleach Rebirth of Souls. So they have this number. It starts with 9, right? And at 9, that's how many like stocks you have pretty much of like health bars, quote unquote. And doing different actions will affect your health bars differently. So if you do like, let's say, a counter attack and then you do like a super out of a counter, that super will cost a certain number of bars. And if it's regular, then it'll cost 3 whole bars out of 9. So you'll be left with 6. And if it's a critical, you'll be left with 4. So whittling down that actual health bar is not like the main goal of the new Bleach game. The main goal is actually knocking down those stocks that you see at the top. So there's a little bit of like Samurai Showdown thrown in there with like countering and reversals and stuff like that. And that's what the comeback mechanic is they were talking about. You can really turn a tide of battle because if you're just attacking somebody, that health bar is going to go down a lot slower through those 9 stocks than it will be if you actually do the mechanics of the reversal stuff and the burst stuff, which will get you down 3 or 4 stocks at a time. So basically, if you counter somebody and you hit them with like that burst attack like 3 times, they're done. So that's what it seems to be anyway from what I've seen from the recent gameplay, which does look like a little interesting, but also kind of weird. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm going to get it regardless because it's Bleach, but hopefully they do some tweaking to it before we actually get into that. Waiting on the release date of the Xbox Series 2 terabyte. Well, Xbox's plans for their consoles right now are pretty much shifting away from the console market. So, 2 terabyte, maybe like they have the memory cards, like so you can always upgrade the memory that you have, like the custom memory in your Xbox Series in the first place. But the way that they're talking lately and what they've been seem to be doing seems that like we might not even be getting a next Xbox. This might be the end of the console line for them. Silver says, I'm not big into counter mechanics. Inviting games is one of the reasons why I don't like Reversal Edge. Yeah, it's not quite like Reversal Edge though. It acts more of like I don't really see it as like a rock, paper, scissors system. It's more of a let's just go in for an attack because it's close range. It's not far away like you would a normal arena fighter, like let's say Xenoverse or something like that, or Naruto. There's no like far away stuff that it seems. You're like pretty much close range. And if somebody attacks you, you have obviously the ability to attack back or eat the attack or like do whatever you need to evade the attack or block the attack. But you also have the option of entering that mode at the cost of meter, which will do like almost a special attack. And that special attack, if it does land, is what actually leads to you losing health stocks. So there's a little bit of like Dissidia in there, but not much. It's more of like, I would say like a Sam show. It's not like, it's kind of hard to say. And the developer doesn't really have many fighting games out there. So it's hard to try to gauge like where it would go. But that would be that. Yeah, we were talking about it before, though. Like, when I had my Series X, I looked at the list of Xbox 360 games that were compatible with discs, and it's not a lot. It's like less than 30% of the Xbox 360's library is backwards compatible on the Series X. So that to me, that just wasn't enough. Like half of the games that I had, more than half of the games I had physically, I wouldn't be able to play. So I ended up just still keeping my 360. That just is what it is. Like I ended up not using my Series at all. So I pretty much just stick to, my main consoles are probably the PS5 and my Switch, but I have like all the consoles. But yeah, I'm not like too huge a fan of those mechanics either. But I have to wait and see more. I can't just go off of one simple gameplay thing, and it's an early build, so they could always change like how that kind of stuff actually works. So I'm not 100% yet on if I'm sold or not on it. I just have to see more, but that's like my first take of what I see from the first initial gameplay trailer. Well, they will all end. Like, see, the problem I have with like Microsoft's like stores is they say that they're interested in keeping gaming libraries alive with backwards compatibility, but they don't put it into practice. Yes, the Xbox Series plays all Xbox One games, but it plays a very small portion of Xbox 360 games. So unless you just like have everything digital on your library, like if you have physical discs, like not a lot of them are actually going to work. Which is why I think initially like PlayStation said they didn't want to go with it because like they wanted to do a complete backwards compatibility thing, but they couldn't figure it out with the PS3's systems, like in the amount of time or probably with the amount of budget more realistically of what they actually were going to go for. So I don't know exactly what they were doing with that, but yeah, it is what it is. But I'm looking forward to Sparking Zero. I mean, they've been updating it a lot and making it look a lot better, which I'm actually appreciating. They've updated some models on stuff like Super Saiyan 3 Goku, for example. They've made him look a bit better. And I'm sure that, like, that Kefla screenshot that was flying around from like an early thing is going to actually be a little bit better in that case too. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying not all the games are available digitally and not all of them are backwards compatible through physical means either. So you're still having a limited library. It's not like saying if you have an Xbox One or an Xbox Series, you have the entire library of the 360 or the original Xbox available to you, because it's only like 30% compatibility of Xbox 360, and it's even less with original Xbox. So you'd still need at least a 360 to play all 360 games and all of the original Xbox games without having to resort to something like modding or emulation. Sulfur says, I'm excited for Sparking Zero. At this point, I've made a peace with no GT or movies being in the base game. I kind of figured they would relegate those things to DLC anyway. Yeah, I'm on the fence about saying that. Like, I've said that from now on, I've been saying from the beginning that, like, I hope GT was in. And so I started seeing a lot of those trailers running. I saw the types of super characters they were including and the amount of characters that we had available for slots, and I was like, yeah, we're not getting that stuff. That's going to be DLC, and a lot of it's like bait for DLC, because you can, put Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, for example, in like a DLC pack, and who's not going to buy that? You know what I mean? Like, as long as like you have that kind of stuff, like a heroes list and a villains list, they'll probably do that for the same way they're splitting up the first season of DLC amongst Daima and Dragon Ball Super Superhero. We're probably going to see that going forward when it comes to other DLC sets as well. Like Dragon Ball movies and villains might be a season. Dragon Ball GT and GT villains might be a season. Stuff like that. We'll have like thematic seasons. I don't know like what their list is looking like. We'll have to wait until we see when season 2 is announced, just so we can get a good feel for it. Rock says, it would be cool if George Lucas bought back Star Wars companies so Soul Calibur 4's DLC could be restored, but I don't think that's ever going to happen, unfortunately. So even if the license expiration happens with... That's not exactly how it works. Oh, what's up, Shot? How you doing, bud? It's not exactly how it works. So even though it's delisted, that just means that the temporary distribution license for that DLC has run out through Xbox itself. And even if George Lucas did get it back and retain all the rights from Star Wars, that doesn't mean that those DLC are automatically going to be repurchasable again, because what they would have to happen is go to George Lucas now with another separate contract to try to make those live again. And I just don't see them doing that, like putting aside money and spending money for a game that like not many people actually play and is not in the competitive scene at all, for like 2 or 3 DLC characters that they'd still have to pay the license fees for. I just don't see it happening. Genodia says, but Dead or Alive 4, Tekken 6, Tekken Tag 2 are backwards compatible for Xbox. Yeah, that doesn't matter. I literally said 30% of the 360 is backwards compatible, but all those games that you named, like, well, most of them, because Dead or Alive 4 is exclusive to Xbox 360. But Tekken Tag 2, you can play on PlayStation anyway. So, like, if you're somebody who has multiple consoles, that's not the way that you're going to be playing that in the first place, because there's no support there. I understand that there's the list. I've seen the list. I already said Rock. It would definitely be Goku. Yeah, Shad's right. Goku's the obvious answer. The story's going to be told through his lens, and that's just like how it is. Most of the series is told through his lens. So there's no other main protagonist outside of him. There's a lot of side protagonists and people that like help him get the stuff done. But as far as it comes to like actually like main characters, like it's Goku all the way. Unless you're asking specifically who my main is going to be when the game comes out. I didn't say they deleted any games as part of the backwards compatibility list, Genadios. I'm saying that the total amount of Xbox 360 games, out of all 360 games that exist, only 30% of those games you can play through backwards compatibility on the Xbox Series. only 30%. And the original Xbox, it drops like below 20%. It's like not a lot of the games. Of course, the main heavy hitters are always going to be there, but I'm talking about more of the other stuff. And the licensed stuff is the big deal. For example, Naruto The Broken Bond, like one of my favorite Naruto games. That's not on the backwards compatibility list, probably because they can't afford the license or don't have the license for distribution anymore. So that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of the games that are on there, like, okay, Dead or Alive 4 is, but Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball 2, you can't play. Dead or Alive, the first beach volleyball, you can't play. Yeah, none of the Soul Calibers are part of the backwards compatibility. So if you don't have it physically or already downloaded it, then it's done. Yeah, Shad's right. So 632 Xbox 360 games out of 2,155 are backwards compatible. But a lot of the ones that are licensed, or a lot of the ones that may be more not niche, but like not first party like consoles or stuff that they already like own, like first party like properties, they're not on there. Yes, I understand that you play those 3 games, but we're talking about out of a list of 2,155 games. We're not talking about somebody who only has like 3 games that they want to play that are backwards compatible. I understand that you like playing them. I myself have like 50 physical games for 360, and I know that like maybe 80% of them aren't on the backwards compatible list. That's why I still have a 360. Like, I understand that you play that. That's fine. Yes, I understand how the physical backwards compatibility system works on the Xbox. I get it. All right, let's move on to another subject. Does somebody else have anything that they want to ask about Dragon Ball Sparking Zero or something else? I forgot my main train of thought is. The combat in the next iteration of Tenkaichi being Sparking Zero actually looks good too. But yeah. What specifically about Soul Calibur 7? I'm excited though. It is a shame that a lot of it's going to be riddled behind DLC, but out of the Sparking Zero roster, who's so far your top 10 that you want to play as? Top 10's a big list, shot. I think I'll give you like my top 5. And I'm going to include transformations in this top 5. We'll just go with general names. So obviously we're going to go with the obvious ones. Like Vegeta is my favorite character, so of course I want to play as him like the most. Probably I would say Majin, but his moveset in Majin and Tenkaichi series has never been like that strong. So we'll see how it is. So maybe like Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta from like the Buu Saga would probably be a good one, or maybe Super Saiyan Blue Evolved would be great. Let's see who else. I definitely also want to delve more into Piccolo. I want to get into more of the super characters, because like we've played on them Tenkaichi 4, the modded version of Tenkaichi 3, but we haven't really necessarily seen them in like an actual game besides fighters and whatever that little bit they had in Kakarot and whatnot, and obviously Xenoverse. So I'd also want to tackle into some of those characters that haven't been in a Tenkaichi game before. So probably like maybe Jiren and Caulifla and Kale, even like just some of those characters. Dragon Ball Super Broly would be great. I'm shocked that Heihachi Mishima is still alive in Tekken 8. Unfortunately, I'm not, Jenna Dios, because that's been they go to the story where they kill off the main character, and you think they're all these games are going to go forward with it, but then they don't. They always revert back to their main villain. So I don't know why I was shocked when I first saw that trailer, because I was, but I shouldn't have been, because they did it in King of Fighters. They did it recently in Street Fighter 6 with Bison coming back. They've done it like a lot recently, so I think that like I should have seen that coming, and I don't know why they're not getting rid of their main villains. Why would you freak out having an Xbox One console and not an Xbox 360? I don't understand that. Yeah, Rock, he's definitely the main character. Solarfire says, I assume it's because they're afraid to do something new. Yeah, it's like I was talking about this earlier with Shad. It's like even when you're watching a TV show, right, that's got multiple seasons, they'll try to often do something different in like the second season. But then if it doesn't work, they'll immediately regress back to the way things were in the first season and try to just up it a little bit, but make it like a similar kind of feel or a similar type of storyline. And these video games are doing the same thing, like with Heihachi coming back, with Bison coming back. I mean, they did do it back in the day too, but they tried to like put twists on it. Like Raido came back in Dead or Alive, but after being defeated, but he was like a cyborg. So it's not like this is the first time they've really done stuff like this, but it's probably not going to be the last either, to be fair. Yeah, thanks, Shad. Both are extremely accessible. We're just talking about the differences that they have in their compatibility issues with each other. I wonder when they'll make an Injustice 3. I don't know. Injustice sells a lot worse than Mortal Kombat, and the most recent Mortal Kombat is not doing too well, either in terms of competition, tournament scene, the number of players that are actually playing the game on Steam, the concurrent players, and also just the sales numbers of MK1 are not doing too great. So I don't foresee them like throwing everything out the wind and trying to make money on an Injustice 3 when they know it's not going to sell as well as their last Mortal Kombat game, unfortunately. Yeah, the backwards compatible and store is working currently, but Xbox One is also like really old now because it's the last generation, and this generation is halfway over. So at some point, if they do move on to another console or not, that Xbox One store will also be shut down. And it doesn't matter about delisting stuff because delisting is usually about distribution licenses running out. So it doesn't matter what store they're on at that point. If you're trying to get Soul Calibur 5 like DLC right now, basically you wouldn't be able to get it on any console outside of if you already purchased it, you could just re-download it. And Shad's trying to reply, if you had to follow the NRS timeline, it would be like 2 more years for an announcement, but now it's not certain. Yeah, everything is up in the air right now when it comes to NRS and MK and the future of that. I understand it's the same store menu. I know how it works. I've had all the consoles. That's not what we're remotely talking about. But this is my birthday stream, so if you guys want to sound off in the chat, that would be great. It's always nice to hear that. But yeah, like I said, like I'm excited for a couple of the games coming up, but it's just not. I've also been really disappointed this year when it comes to fighting games in general. That may be because I've built up hype in my own head. So I don't know. I'm not sure if Soul Calibur 7 is even going to happen at this point, Genadiu. So we can talk about that if you want, but I feel like Maximilian Dude and Harada just like walling out on Twitter about it is literally like destroying hope. So yeah, Rock. It just is what it is. Like it's like they either have to re-up, pay for a new. They can't just like give them money and like put it back on the store. They have to come up with a new distribution contract. Yeah, Drager. It's like I was positive, like all of the evidence. There's a lot of positive affirmation for Soul Calibur 7 actually coming to fruition, and you guys know I've been doing videos on it for years. So there's a lot of evidence that is leading towards 100%. They'd be stupid not to make another one, but it's a casual game too. So a lot of like the casuals are going to listen to people like Harada, even though he has nothing to do with Soul Calibur. He's actually Tekken's not even his main job anymore. Like he works in the online thing. But unfortunately, like the main thing that you would need is a lead producer to put a team together. And in order to even go to Bandai Namco to ask for something like that, you would need numbers. So you would have to focus group and you'd have to see like where kind of the playing field lies so that you can actually get money from financiers and from investors to actually make a project like that in the first place. And Okubo already did that. With Soul Calibur 6, and they met all the deadlines they were supposed to make. But unfortunately, after Harada was coming out and saying what he said, which I did a video on, and after Maximilian Dude has made multiple videos with some people on his podcast, like Matt McMuscles and stuff like that, it's killed the hype for Soul Calibur 7 being a thing because they're just going to listen to him because he has a lot of followers. So when you have like 1 or 2 million followers, all those people are going to listen to you pretty much, and they're killing. They don't, as much as he thinks he loves the game and is helping the game, he's actually killing the hype for the game. Because coming out and somebody thinking that he's in a position of authority and he's telling them that it's not going to happen, they're automatically going to like change their shift of mind and be like, okay, it's not going to happen. And then all of their hype dies down. They stop talking about it online. They stop talking about it with friends. And then it just actually looks like they stop playing the original game that they're playing, like 6. It stops being run in tournaments, and all of a sudden you have a dead game. That's just how it works. So the only way to get it back would be to like build up as much hype as possible online. But with other voices like shouting in opposition, it's going to be a really hard thing. And I don't think it's going to be there. Yeah, Drager, I mean, like the problem with thinking it's just sheep mentality is not necessarily like, that's like an ad hominem attack, but it's not exactly true because like people follow Max because they align with his views already, right? They see him as an authority figure and he repeats back to them what they want to hear. It's like confirmation bias almost. And it's the same thing with like any people that follow anybody. So if like I have my main subscribers too, right? And like there's not a lot of pushback usually. You have to kind of like fight to try to get their true opinions out of stuff. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's more of an echo chamber than a sheep mentality, but it's confirmation bias for sure. But yeah, you can't just like throw him under the bus like that because like they go to him because of the way he thinks, not like what he says. They're just going to take it on fact. And that's not saying that they don't backwards check him either because they probably do. Sean says, same man, shift for the marketing towards fighting games being more expansive on Battle Pass stuff is rough. It is super rough. Like, I mean, like, the fact that even in Tekken, half the stuff that we already had in Tekken 7 is being, like, pushed back to us in, like, DLC Battle Passes is kind of, like, worrisome to me. It's really upsetting because, like, I wanted to be able to jump into the customization right away when Tekken dropped. And I do have a lot of time in Tekken 8 already. But the fact that, like, the character customization was so base and they're just like spoon feeding it back to us for more and more and more money. And the same way they did it with Street Fighter 6 I know that even if Soul Calibur came out like tomorrow, they'd stick a battle pass on it and it would kill the casual market for the game. It would kill it in sales and then it would fail. So I'd rather it come back later in some way with more emphasis behind it and more like passion put into it than it just coming out as another drop run-of-the-mill fighting game that's going to like die without support in like a couple years and kill the franchise potentially. So I think the latter is a lot worse of a trade-off than the former. Sorfa said a lot of people are sheep. They just see what with huge subscriber numbers of authority automatically listen to what they say. Yeah, like I was saying, like they probably can do their own research, but the thing is like let's just take me for example. Like if you're going, like I know Solar Flare has been subscribed to me for like 6 years or so. He probably stayed subscribed all this time, not because he agrees with me 100% of the time, but the way that my mind works and the way that I work through the information is probably similar to what his is or what he expects. So even if he disagrees with me on a general, he's going to say, well, if he thinks this, then let me look into that. And even if you look into it, online is online. So you're going to find information for or against any kind of argument. So if you're in the negative affirmation camp, like you don't think Soul Calibur 7 is ever going to happen, you can look online and find all the information in the world that will point you further in that direction. And if you're an optimist that says, I definitely think that Soul Calibur 7 is going to be a thing, you can again go online and find the same argumentative points that will back up your claims. The problem is that like the truth doesn't lie in your actual claims. The truth lies in the evidence itself. So unless you're actually going directly after the evidence, you're not going to come to a conclusion. And unfortunately, the only evidence that we can take right now would be a direct confirmation from the publisher themselves, and anything else would just be speculative. Why does Yoshimitsu have a flag on its back in Soul Calibur and not Tekken? Because they're different games, and the Yoshimitsu is not the same Yoshimitsu. Plus, there's been multiple characters that have helmed up the title of Yoshimitsu. It's more of a title, not an actual person. So, like, there's been a lot of different Yoshimitsus in the past. Sean says, hot take, but the community itself constantly giving the companies these passes over time has made it this way. Of course. As a company, as an entity, as a business, you're responsible not only for profits in yourself, because there's people funding you, but you're also responsible for your own self and the people that are working under you and keeping everyone's jobs. And the way that you do that is you do what works. So if you're putting out this kind of preposterous idea, that's fine. You're an Xbox fan. I didn't say that you're not. I don't know why you're bringing that up, but that doesn't change the fact that Microsoft is moving away from Xbox. Like, so you can still be a fan after you want, like after there's no more Xbox, but as long as you're happy with your Series X for however long they support that, That's fine. I usually get all the consoles just so I don't get stuck in a situation where I find myself lacking. Cyber says, I miss playing as Necrid back in Soul Calibur 2 because Tom McFarlane decided not to use his character, Necrid, and Spawn for the next Soul Calibur games. Well, it's not that he didn't do it. It's that like they have to pay for those characters' licensing fees. And not only do they have to pay those characters' licensing fees, but the distribution rights can also be tied up in other ways. For example, Mortal Kombat can be using Spawn in Mortal Kombat 11, and then that distribution rights for that, there'll be clauses that are actually in there'll be clauses in the actual like agreement in the actual contract that state that like he can only be used in this, and nobody else will get those distribution rights because it's for a specific thing. So, for example, Project Soul and Bandai Namco could go to Tom McFarlane and say, hey, we want to put him in this game, but he's only going to be allowed to be in this game. They'll be like, okay, well, we're going to give you a 2-year distribution notice. And after that, you either have to re-up the distribution notice based on how many sales and if we're happy with the sales and the kickbacks that we're actually getting, or we're going to not move on with the next contract agreement. Or make a different contract. That's usually how it works. Drager says, thank RCS for emulation. See, like I have modded consoles. Like I have a modded PS2. My phone has like a PS2 emulator on it, and my Wii is modded. But the thing is that like I go with the legality on that issue, where it's like you're not really supposed to emulate unless you have a backup copy of that actual game. Otherwise, it's like pirating. So while I still do it, like it's usually for ease of convenience of not destroying my discs over time, as opposed to just playing a game that I want to play. Because I like physical copies first and foremost. So if I really like a game, I'm going to go to try to find the physical version of it just so I have it. I don't know what you mean by Spawn is censored all the time. He's like literally one of the most non-censored characters in like all of comic books. What am I hoping to see in Pokemon Legends ZA? I am hoping to see more Mega Forms that I haven't seen before. I think that'll be cool. I would like to see all the Mega Forms that were already there in X and Y to return. I would also like to see the story expanded upon, not in just the way of, you know, the mythology and the world building. I'd like to see it come to its ultimate conclusion. But obviously, I want to see my Mons come back. I'd also like to see maybe Mewtwo, or the ones that have like 2 different forms, get a 3rd form for this game specifically. Like example, you know how like Mewtwo had like his Mega X form and his Mega Y form? It would be cool if he got like a Mega ZA form and like it's like it's like them fused or something like that. You know what I mean? Something that gives it like its own umph here. Shot said, with the Series S, people are updating a 360 emulator so you can still enjoy the Xbox without being in panic mode. Yes, but you do have to purchase dev mode, which people don't know. And you're not paying for a license to use those games, but you're paying for a license to use that mode. So the legality on that is like gray. Because you're supposed to use that mode for like actually like working on games, but it's there pretty much for emulation, and I think they know that. But yeah, it's a way of getting around the legality of it. I do like Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't play it as much as I used to. I used to collect the cards and whatnot. Now I do play. Shah, what's that Yu-Gi-Oh! Game that we play on PlayStation? The one that's the free-to-play one, not the one that we were playing on Switch. The free-to-play one. Yeah, Master Duel. Yeah, I've been playing that. That's pretty good. We usually just log in now for like the events and like the God cards and stuff, but like I have fun with that. No, Duel Masters, I believe, was on. What was Duel Masters? Was that GameCube? I have a one. I own the one on Switch, and then I play the free to play one. Yeah. I'm looking forward to season 2 of Street Fighter. I already bought Bison, but I am looking forward to playing as Mai and Terry, and even Elena. I like Elena too. So there's not any characters in this that I don't like. Season 1 had a few characters I didn't really care about, but like I really only cared honestly about Akuma. But like at least in this season, there's a bunch of like I like all of them, so I'm not really gonna have as much of a problem getting this new season pass as I did the last one. We're probably gonna go another 20 minutes, guys. Who's my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh character? I don't have a favorite character amongst the human characters. Like I think like my favorite monster is always going. I mean, I'm pretty vanilla with it, so I'm gonna say like Blue Eyes, but I actually do like Red Eyes Black Dragon a lot. I think I liked him a lot more than Blue Eyes White Dragon back in the day, so I can go with that. You want to see Hinata from rival schools get added to Street Fighter 6, but you're not sure if that's going to happen or not. I feel like the only like SNKS like or those kind of characters, I think it's going to be Terry and Mai. Like they might bring some others back in futures, but I don't see why they would not theme them that way. If that makes sense to you, like why would they do that in a season 3? You know what I mean? Put like more characters from that game in it. That doesn't seem like something they would do. I could be wrong though. Like if they do that, that'd be cool. But because of course everyone has their own favorite characters. Yeah, they would like take advantage of the new season with like maybe a new guest or even just like somebody from another game franchise. So they can put eyes on it. But yeah, the Bleach game especially, like I'm looking forward to it. But just from the gameplay that I've seen right now, it looks a little. I can understand it way forward than before, but like it's gonna be a little hard to get used to. Thank you for the birthday wishes, Lord Blaze, and welcome to the chat. I appreciate it. I always appreciate a good happy birthday. Shots says obviously it would be dope to have it turn around and add a Power Ranger to Street Fighter. Thanks for the happy birthday wishes, Jenna Dios. I'll get to you in a second. Would they add a Power Ranger? Because I don't know. Like the problem is like the Power Rangers licensing rights right now are really up in the air. Like they had like 2 series planned and then they just canceled them. So like I don't really know what they're doing with Power Rangers. So I don't know what they would have to like promote to add Power Rangers. As cool as that would be. I mean, like of course it would be cool if it was like Dracon or like Green Ranger or something and not somebody like vanilla, but I'm old, Jenna Dios. I'm super old. Silver Fair says Street Fighter has done plenty of collaborations with Power Rangers before, so I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. No, I understand. Like, especially with like the Ryu and Chun Li in the mobile version, and then also in the Power Rangers game Battle for the Grid, like they had those Power Rangers versions of Ryu and Chun Li. I definitely see that. I'm just saying that right now, currently, there's no. The licensing is up in the air, so I don't know what they would be promoting. That's all I'm saying. Like right now. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Just to Matt, the Battle for the Grid had Ryu and Chun Li as their own Rangers, but I think they were promoting something at the time. Have I played Aki? No, the only characters from DLC that I just got Street Fighter 6 back again yesterday, and the only characters that I bought from the DLC is M. Bison. I had it at launch, but my thoughts on TMNT and Naruto? I mean, they're both ninja, so it kind of makes sense. Like, I'm not against it. I heard there's like rumors of like Sonic and Dragon Ball happening next. So I don't know. I mean, what like I'm down for all that fun like fan stuff. That's really cool. You're like, why does Terry Bogard get a crossover in Street Fighter 6? Because he's a fan favorite. He's also the main character. So that doesn't really hurt. Like you like being a fan favorite and being a main character kind of go hand in hand in that aspect. I'm sure people have a lot more fan favorites. Like the fan favorite will be Mai, and she's getting it also. But Terry Bogard is like the main character. Yeah, he's the poster boy for sure. Yeah, I would like to see more crossovers. It would be fun. I would like to see an entire crossover game, kind of how they did like Street Fighter Cross Tekken and stuff like that. If we got a couple more games like that, that'd be fun. Anything else you guys have to say? All right, Solarflush says, I can see Street Fighter and King of Fighters having a crossover, like a full crossover game. Yeah, they were kind of doing that with Dead or Alive 5. And I think to a lesser extent Dead or Alive 6. But Dead or Alive 5 last round almost felt like it was DOA cross VF. Because like they had so many virtual fighter characters in that game. They also had Mai. But they had so many virtual fighters in that game. It actually felt like it was like a full crossover game almost at times. SNK versus Capcom was kind of that. So was also Tatsunoko versus Capcom. You're right. I might want to play Tatsunoko versus Capcom soon. I missed that game. At this point, I'm not caring about which characters come back in a possible Soul Calibur 7. I'm just more worried about whether Soul Calibur 7 is going to happen, period. It's been... The last time we got a character come out for Soul Calibur 7 was like... What was it? Like, let me know in the chat. Well, when did Huang come out? Huang was... Yeah, I still have it on Wii. I love Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. Huang, I think, released in 2020, I want to say. What was it? December 2020? So that's like 4 years that Soul Calibur 6 has had no updates or anything whatsoever. Yeah, it was 2020, I want to say. It was right around when I started getting monetized on my channel. Right, Shad's saying yeah. So Huang came out in Soul Calibur 6 in December of 2020, and that's the last time that Soul Calibur got any updates, any support. Like there was a couple patches here and there, but other than that, it's been 4 years of nothing. You know, whether or not that's all dependent on if Soul Calibur 7 happens, Genedio. So I'm not 100% confident that it's going to happen. Like I said, the evidence was pointing towards yes, and I would have told you like a while ago that 100% it is happening based on the evidence, but now based on certain people that are in a community and have actual clout, like kind of turning their backs on it, like I feel like the population is going to follow that. It just is what it is. Like I hope I'm wrong, but like there's nothing that I can really do to rally people because I have a much smaller base and viewership than somebody like Maximilian Dude has, for example. Like after I had problems with like his podcast that he had with him and Matt McMuscles and Justin Wong, and I reached out to his team to talk to him about it in like a stream, and I didn't hear anything back. So I don't know if I'm going to hear anything back, and I'm not going to reach out to him on Twitter or anything. And email is all I'm going to do. Shad says yes, things can be put on hold even with it having development. Like I feel like they could have been working on the game already, but if they don't get like a lead producer to push the project along, or the backing and an actual budget from the publisher, then like they can't really do anything. Like even if they want it to come out, it's not like they can just make the game. Like it needs financial backing. Yuri will be DOA material. I wouldn't be opposed to like more guest stuff in DOA, but since I think the first DOA is not really going to have that many guests because it's going through a reboot. So once the reboot comes out, yeah, the marketing would need to be there, which marketing costs a lot of money and financial backing, and it also has to fit into their time slot because they have all their release windows already full. Trey is in the chat. What is up, Trey? Being civil and respectful. No, I know what you're saying. I know what you're getting at. I'm like, I would be fine with that. I would like that, in fact. But with a reboot, they tend to really start from scratch. So I don't really know if they're going to be putting a guest character in the new reboot for Dead or Alive. But we'll see. Maybe, possibly. The best thing they would probably do is tie it into the new Ninja Gaiden reboot and have like more of the Ninja Gaiden characters like Rachel and Momoji back and like stuff like that. If they're going to be in the reboot, I don't know if they're even going to return. Yeah, well, Heihachi definitely wasn't supposed to be in Soul Calibur 2. It was supposed to be Cloud, I believe. I know Dante was supposed to be in one of them. I think that's 3. And not monetary. Well, don't get my hopes up like that. Oh, by the way, Trey, if you did want to get me anything for my birthday, don't do it in the chat. PayPal me because I kind of want to get the season pass, the character pass for Street Fighter 6 while both of them are on sale. So if you are going to give me a birthday gift, that's what I would ask for is like just PayPal me so I can get those character packs. So because I'm back on Street Fighter 6 again after all this time. But yeah, Rock didn't need any further license rights for Heihachi because he already belongs to Bandai Namco. So since Project Soul and the Tekken team are sister teams, like it wouldn't be there's no need to go off for that. It's the same way when Mortal Kombat 11 Ash fell through. Yeah, if you broke it till tomorrow, that's fine. Even if you do it tomorrow, that's fine. I don't think the sale goes off until like the 29th. So that's if you want to do it. I'm not expecting anything. Put you in DNA, yeah. Yeah, Dante was supposed to be in Soul Calibur 3 and it fell through, and they were all supposed to have so they did have pseudo guests with like the Xenosaga armors where you can actually create the Xenosaga characters, but that's about it. Yeah, Soul Calibur, like everyone loves Soul Calibur 2, but that's unfortunately what started the trend of like Soul Calibur going downhill because they put it on every console and then they didn't sell as well on each console. So the people that they made licensing with, I'm going to just say cough, cough, Nintendo, didn't really want to put them back in later iterations. That's why Link didn't actually release on the HD online version. And it started the trend of them looking for financial aid whenever it came. And unfortunately, it led to the destruction of the games. I don't really blame Nintendo. Like, Nintendo has contracts for like what they need, right? So if they're literally not going to like fill up their end of the bargain and what they promised Nintendo they would make back off of using him, like based on like whatever numbers that they had in the first point, then I don't know why they would even get license right to that. I just heard that like each individual copy didn't sell that much, but it added up to a total of like I think like 2 million or 2.5 million sales total for all 3 versions of the game. Wasn't it Sony's fault for what? Soul Calibur 2? No, it's not Sony's fault also here. Okay, so really quickly, I'll do a fast breakdown, but I made a whole video on this, so you can just go check that out. All right, so Soul Calibur, Soul Edge, and Soul Blade were only on PlayStation 1. Soul Calibur itself was only on Dreamcast. It came like way later with an Xbox like port for digital, but it only launched on Dreamcast. So already you have 2 different player bases. And then Soul Calibur 2 came out and it tried to put it on all the systems like it was supposed to, but they have to sign license agreements and contracts with all those companies in order to actually retain the rights to license those characters. So they had Spawn and Necrid, and then they also had they were going to have Cloud, but he fell through with Final Fantasy. They backed out last moment over financial issues, so it defaulted to Heihachi on PlayStation. And then on the Nintendo we had Link, but Link came with a lot of stipulation of how many sales were supposed to be sold to make back the money that they would have needed for the license for them, and they didn't fulfill that. So unfortunately, they dropped that. So when we go into Soul Calibur 3, they were looking for another financier because they didn't make the money back. So Sony actually fronted the bill and actually helped develop Soul Calibur 3, which is why it wasn't exclusive, because they helped fund the project and paid for it. And then therefore, again, since they never released the sales for Soul Calibur 3, yeah, Necrod's a guest, technically. He belongs to Tom McFarlane. So, what was I saying? So after Soul Calibur 3 was a system exclusive, now you're losing all of those fans of Soul Calibur 2 that bought it for the Xbox and bought it for the Nintendo. Because if, like, they had a GameCube version or the Xbox version, they're not going to buy a PS2 just to play Soul Calibur 3. So I know they weren't happy with the sales because they've never released the sales numbers ever. And, like, we have the sales numbers of every other Soul Calibur except for 3. So I know they're low, even though Soul Calibur 3 is my favorite. So looking to make Soul Calibur 4, again, with a brand new producer and a new team working on a new engine, they literally had to try to find new backing and new money. So LucasArts was willing to loan them the characters, but they still had to pay license rights, but they helped fund Soul Calibur 4. That's why Soul Calibur 4 has so much Star Wars baked into it. They were promoting The Force Unleashed because it was coming. So it was definitely a cross promotion type thing. They were trying to use Soul Calibur as a platform to jump boost fighting game players into playing The Force Unleashed. And while they're doing this, what ends up happening is they push so much Soul Calibur into the game. I mean, so much Star Wars into the game, the music, the stages, the story. Like, never has a guest been in like a story before, like the actual canon story. They pushed it so much, and then again, splitting it between 2 different fan bases because they have console exclusive guests. So now like you have to have, I mean, later on they released them, but like at first you had to have the 360 version and the PS3 version to get Darth Vader and getting Yoda before they put them on both temporarily before they got delisted. And then Soul Calibur 5 runs around. Soul Calibur 4 didn't sell well either. So Soul Calibur 5 gets a brand new producer, and we have Harada in Soul Calibur 5, who is also producing. And the director of the game wanted to model it after Street Fighter Third Strike because they're just grasping at straws at this point. And they outsourced a lot of that because they didn't have a big budget. Like, for example, CC2 is the ones that actually did the cinematics for Soul Calibur 5. But then they cut the story because of production time and budgetary constraints by 75%. They removed, I think it was like something like 40% of the modes that were single player in the game. So it felt bare bones with that, except for that card battle mode. And then the game got canceled DLC and sold horribly and became known as like the worst Soul Calibur game. And it got the series canceled for a while until Okubo brought it back. So it's not just Nintendo or Sony's fault. There's a lot of blame to go around there, and 99% of it is about marketing and finances. That's all it is. So you got to blame us or the people for not buying it if we wanted to buy it. But I mean, nobody is entitled to buying a crap product either. So if you don't want to buy the game, like, why would you be entitled or even incentivized to buy a game? The temporarily expanded issue at work. Yeah, of course. Yeah, and Todd McFarlane's not like also obligated to license out his character either. Even then, Legends was the last Soul Calibur title on any Nintendo system. Yes, and while Legends is canon to the old timeline story, it's not a mainline Nintendo. It's not a mainline Soul Calibur game. That's a side game. So that doesn't even really count because it's a different type of game. But they've never had a mainline Soul Calibur game on Nintendo since. So Soul Calibur 2 was it. That's it. Not even on the handhelds. There's never been another Soul Calibur. The closest we get is the Wii version of what was that? Dynasty Warriors. Not Dynasty Warriors. Samurai Warriors, I believe it was. The Orochi 3 or whatever. Because Orochi 3 had Soul Calibur characters in it. I think it had like Sophitia and Siegfried and maybe Ivy. I don't remember. Gotta add for Dokkan, and even they couldn't pull SSRs. Well, the drop rates in that game are awful. I'm so casual in that game at this point. It is not even funny. All right, guys, we have about 7 minutes left in the stream. So give me everything you want to talk about. Yeah, it's Warriors Orochi 3. Were they in just Ultimate? Because Ultimate, I think, was on the Wii U. But there was an original one, too, before. That was on like just PS3 and 360. I hope a reboot's happening after that last game. The last game was awful. I love the Dynasty Warrior series. I also really like the Empire series where you like create everything. I think that's like a way more fun version of that. Yeah, that came in a lot. They also had like Ryu Hayabusa was also a character in that, and there was a ton of cool characters. I also wish they brought back the Dynasty Warriors type, the Musou like licensed games. Like, I would love to see another Dynasty Warriors Gundam. I mean, all we're really getting is like Pirate Warriors. Like, I was surprised we got new DLC for Pirate Warriors 3 to be honest, or 4 to be honest. That was kind of out of left field. This sunburn is killing me. I got sunburned so bad yesterday. My wife was yelling at me for not wearing like lotion. Yeah, Rachel was in Warriors Orochi 3 because like Ryu Hayabusa was in there too. I think Momoji might have been too. Yeah, I don't remember exactly which characters. I know Sophitia was one of them. And there's a difference between Warriors Orochi 3 and there's also Warriors Orochi 3 Ultimate, which came out on like PS4. I'm not sure if it came out on Xbox One, but I know it came out on PS4. So I'm not exactly sure like like which characters and what. Yeah, Momoji, like you'll know her if you also play Dead or Alive 5, because Momoji and Rachel are Ninja Gaiden characters that are also in Dead or Alive, because it's the same universe. Though he was in that Namco crossover baseball game on the 3DS. I don't remember that game, dude. No, it was also in Project Cross Zone, I believe. I don't know if he was in, I think he was in Project Cross Zone 2. I want to say Project Cross Zone 1, I don't think had any Soul Calibur characters, but it did have Tekken characters in it on the 3DS. But I think in Project Cross Zone 2, there were Soul Calibur characters, if I remember correctly. In the King of Fighters mobile game, we also got a couple of characters from Soul Calibur as guests, kind of. Get WDB. I mean, that game, the King of Fighters mobile game, gets like everybody. Like, it's crazy. I played when the Soul Calibur characters were there, and then also when the Tekken characters came out. And I got lucky enough, I did pull Devil Jin, and I don't have the game downloaded right now, but Devil Jin was like the main character I was actually using, because those like lasers are legit. But when it comes to mobile games, I tend to not play the ones that like you have to do a lot of work, like on the touch screen. I like the ones that are like card based or like RPG, like, or tactics games, like, so I can watch something and not have to like constantly worry about doing a battle up or something like that, like a fighting game. Or I can't play any of those games mobile. Like, I'm strictly console with that stuff. Like, I mean, you can still connect. I can connect my PS4 controller or my PS5 controller to my phone, so it's a good way to play. That's how I play Tenkaichi 4, because I have a Mac, so it's a little bit harder to get those kind of games running on my Mac than it would be like a PC. Yeah, game on. Yeah, see, Contest of Champions, like, that's why I like Strike Force, Marvel Strike Force, because you're just like choosing a move out of 3 moves, and like it goes to the next character. So it's more card based. Like, Contest of Champions doing the actual fighting and dashing and blocking and like all that was crazy. I couldn't get in it. I played it for years, but I just can't do it anymore. What game is that? I don't recognize the acronym for it. Speaking of Wicked really using a brand new Marvel fighting game on consoles. What do you mean? You mean the Marvel game that's like the team-based shooter? The free-to-play one? Oh, yeah, of course. If you're not playing that game for like years and building up, yeah. I was just saying I don't know what PXZ is. I don't recognize that acronym. A fighting game that's strictly Marvel characters? I haven't heard anything. Like, the last Marvel game that I think was like straight up just Marvel fighting might have been like Nemesis on the PS2. I don't know if we've gotten a strictly Marvel fighting game since then. Oh, Plants vs Zombies? Yeah, maybe. I don't recognize the acronym. Cool if they came back and gave us some characters in Fortnite. In Soul Calibur 3, how cool would it be if we got the wave swords, lances, kick blades, extended staffs, fans, dancing weapons, katana with spinning shuriken, size, and the other different styles back? Of course I want that back. I've been saying that forever. Oh, Project Cross Zone. Wasn't Natsu in the second? No, yeah. All the Soul Calibur characters were in the second Project Cross Zone. The first Project Cross Zone didn't have. I still own Project Cross Zone 1. I don't have 2, but I played it. But in 1, there's no Soul Calibur characters. There's Tekken characters, but there's no Soul Calibur. They're in the second one on the 3DS. Yeah. That's what. Yeah, I just addressed that, I believe. All right, guys. But I want to thank you all for watching me here on my birthday live stream. I am going to cut it now because I got some stuff to do. But thank you for joining me. If you want to check out some of my content, feel free to head over to my YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed already, to give a look to some of it. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. I hope you enjoyed the stream. If you did, please leave a like on the stream. If you're in the chat and you haven't left a like yet, it'll help push it in the algorithm when it becomes a full video. And hopefully you guys liked what we talked about in here. And if you have any pushback, leave it in the comment section down below. We can talk about it in there. Or you guys can come over to the Discord, where a lot of you in here are already in the Discord. But if you're not in the Discord, there's a link in the description box of every video. We can come and have a bunch of fun conversations and chats over there. I want to thank you all again for being in here. And as I always say, I love it. Thank you. And thick you.